Hello, my dear friends. My name is Harold, and welcome to the Sanctum. In this video, I'm going to talk about the importance of writing your dreams down. So, on my channel, I talk a lot about lucid dreaming and how to induce a lucid dream, or how to induce awareness that you are dreaming so that you can take control of the dream and do many interesting things and learn about yourself. Now, this is something that a lot of people have already spoken about in the lucid dreaming community, which is the importance of journaling and writing down your dreams. So I'm essentially going to elaborate more on my perspective on writing down your dreams. Now, if you have written down your dreams over a certain period of time and you've revisited your dreams, it's likely you would have discovered that years later, if you've been writing consistently and recording your dreams consistently, that there is a pattern to your dreaming process. There are things that repeat itself, symbols that repeat itself, symbols that might mean something specifically and uniquely to you, but may not mean the same to everybody else. Now, of course, there is general symbolism that may affect everyone or may relate to everyone's dreaming process. Related to the archetypes, for example, the elements fire, air, earth, water. These are examples of symbols that have remained the same for millennia. Water, a million years ago, did the same thing symbolically speaking in relation to water right now. Same as fire. Fire always emitted light. Fire always moved upwards. Fire doesn't move downwards. It always moves upwards. Fire burns and is very hot. So in the same way, fire has always been the same, even a billion years ago compared to now. So these are some symbols that would be generally the same for everybody. But there's also personal symbolism that may vary from person to person. And the only way you're finding your own personal symbolism and what your unconscious is trying to tell you is by recording your dreams. But also, the more you record your dreams, the more you begin to remember your dreams. Because a lot of times people forget their dreams. Sometimes they wake up and they might remember little elements and then they just completely forget and they go about their entire week completely unaware that they even had that dream. Whereas if you were to wake up and as soon as you wake up, write down the dream, later on when you look at it, you start to remember what that dream was about. And the more you write it down, the more your unconscious forms a habit of remembering more of the dreams that you have. So therefore, you write more. I remember when I first started doing it years ago, probably over a decade ago, there were it started with just a few words, little lines of describing the dreams that I used to have. But then now I'm writing pages and pages, so it does take a little bit of time. But you start to remember more and more and more of the dream. And the more you notice the patterns, it's almost like this is where interesting things begin to happen. This is where your mind can begin to notice or understand what your dream is trying to tell you. Or if you're trying to make a decision in your life and there's the next step that you need to take on your journey, your unconscious can even guide you in that way. And this is happening all the time. It's just that we're unaware of it. And if we don't write down our dreams, we'll never be aware of it in that way, in terms of reading it through the dreams, from getting that guidance through dreams. So, in addition to this particular element, it's very useful because when you start writing your dreams down, your unconscious, in some strange way, or at least I've noticed, tries to create that discernment within you between wakefulness and being asleep and dreaming. So when this happens, you will become more aware of when you are dreaming and when you are awake, actually awake. So this is when you are actually having a dream, the amount of lucid dreams that you have go up because you're recording your dreams, and because your mind is becoming conditioned to being more aware of when you're dreaming and writing those dreams down when you're awake. So therefore, you tend to become more lucid and aware that you're dreaming when you are dreaming. And therefore, you can remember more, and therefore you can write it down more, and therefore improve your overall dream yoga practice, if you want to call it that. So this is two very important reasons why you should record your dreams. The other thing is, especially if you've been doing it for a while, you notice that we all have the capability of telling the future or learning about the future. Once we learn about our symbolism, our own personal symbolism, our unconscious mind is already telling us what we are creating in the future and what is to come. You only realize it after you've been writing your dreams down for a couple of years, and then 2 years later, you visit back your dream journal about all those dreams that you've written 2 years ago, and you notice, hey, hang on a minute, there's a pattern here. It's telling me about this particular thing that happened 6 months ago, 2 years ago. And you start to notice that the dreams sometimes tell you, not directly, but in a very indirect symbolic manner, what is going to take place and how to even overcome it, although or the things that you can do to shift it in a certain way, depending on if it's ideal to do so or not. So in addition to this, it's a good idea, if you are going to keep a dream journal, and this is just a personal opinion, that you actually have a specific separate journal purely for your dreams, and you don't mix it up with your normal diary, or you don't use a notebook that you're using for other things, like for your work or something like that. You want a separate, dedicated dream journal. And in that way, it becomes something magical. It becomes talismanic of some sorts. It becomes alive almost energetically, because that is your dream journal and that's all you're using it for. So don't just buy a random um, notebook and use it for that. Get a notebook that's slightly out of the ordinary. Or at least, if you are to get a normal notebook, the first page, make it really special. Draw something on it, or paint on it, or make it something that tells you that this is a special book, right? And if you do this, you'll notice that there'll be an energy to your dream journal, and over time it'll be like an entire special book. And it's interesting because after years you can write books, like, you can write an entire book from your entire the stories that take place in your dream journal, which is, and it's so interesting to go back to it and just read what sort of dreams you had 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and what's the same and what's different, and how many times you become lucid. And also, I usually write down at the top of the page in color the word lucid whenever I've had a lucid dream, in my dream journal. So then I can look back and I can even look at where the planets were on that particular night that I had a lucid dream, or whether I did a certain sort of meditation or a practice that may have influenced the effect of that lucidity, of me becoming lucid in that particular dream. So there are ways in which you can, depending on how serious you want to get into your own dream yoga practice, that is something that you can do, and that's something that I do. And this is where I discovered that whenever it comes close to a new moon, for me personally, my lucidity just goes through the roof. uh, so that might be different for everyone else. So it's a good idea to keep this journal, not only to increase your lucidity, but to become aware of what happened and what your personal symbolism is, your dream symbolism is, and to be able to even get snippets and hints of what is to come in the future, and guidance and advice from your dreams. But also what I've just mentioned, right? And also, it's just fun and interesting to revisit your dreams. So that is essentially my take on on keeping a dream journal, and it really has enhanced my life. And I hope it enhances yours. So if you like this video, please click the like button, please subscribe, and I shall see you soon. Take care.